Hello again and welcome to my channel. Today's tutorial is to make a little amigurumi robin bird. It's made with a double knit yarn using a quite small hook. I'm using a size 4. It's double knit yarn and you will need a brown shade or a grey, like a dark grey shade, red for the red breast and yellow for the beak and the feet. On mine I've used wobbly eyes, the little glue on wobbly eye for the eyes, but if you don't want to use those you could actually work a bullion knot with a white and a black, but I just use the glue gun just to stick on the wobbly eyes, but it is entirely up to you. I will show you how to do the bullion knot for the eyes as we come to complete the 2 circles that we're going to make that make the actual body. So we're going to start as always with a slip knot onto the hook, and I'm going to work 4 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4. It does need to be quite tight because we don't want the stuffing to show through the robin itself. So we work the 4 chain and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to form a ring, and then into that ring we're going to work single crochets. So you've got to sort of find the center there, pick up a loop, pull it back through, oops, start that again, pick up a loop, pull it through, yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to try and work 6 singles into that first ring. So we've got 2, 3, 4. It does get easier as we go on to the next rounds. It's just this first circle. There's 5, and the final one is 6. We're then going to join into the first stitch with a slip stitch to finish off that first row. So just into the top of the first stitch and pull through. So we've got a little tiny circle started. You can pull the tail of the yarn tight so that it closes up that centre hole, as you can see there, and then I'm going to work over this tail of yarn as I work the next row so that we've not got an end to sew in. So we start the next row with a chain 1. We're going to now work 2 singles into each stitch from the previous row. So we've got 1 and 2. Move on to the next one and work 2 into the next stitch, again 2 single crochets. If you want to keep an eye on where the beginning of the row is, you could put a stitch marker into that first stitch there so that you know when you've got round to the other end. But with these it really wouldn't matter if you just carry on working round and round and round until you get to the size that you want your robin to be. So again, into the next stitch we're going to work 2 stitches, and the next one 2 stitches, and then the next one we've got the 2 stitches. So you will have 12 stitches altogether if you work 2 stitches into each stitch, We worked 1 chain to start, but we're not going to count that as a stitch, so we do need to work 12. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and there's 12. We're then going to join into that first stitch with a slip stitch. For the next row, we're still increasing. We're going to increase on each row as we go around. We're going to work 1 single in the first stitch and then 2 in the next, 1 in the following stitch and 2. So each time you've got 2 stitches in one, 1 stitch in one, 2 stitches in one, and we're going to work that all the way around. So again, we'll start with a chain 1, and then into this first stitch I'm going to work the 2 singles, into the next stitch 1, the following stitch is going to have 2, the next stitch just the 1, and then again 2 and 1. This will keep the circle that you're going to, oops, just the wool's split a little bit there. So I've got 2 in this next one. This will keep the circles nice and flat by increasing this way of working the 2, the 1, the 2, the 1, and so on. And then each round that we do, we're going to increase the stitches in between where we do the 2. Right, as I say, you don't need to keep checking how many stitches you've actually got in each round. Just do that final stitch. And then join with a slip stitch again, so the circle's grown by 1 row. So we're going to carry on the next row, chain 1, I'm going to do 2 singles in that first stitch, but on this row we're going to do 1 single in the next 2, and then 2 into the next one, 1 single in each of the next 2, and 2 in the next one, 1 and 1, and then 2 into that next one. So on the following row you would have 1 stitch in 3 stitches, and then 2 in the 4th, 1 stitch in 3, 2 in the 4th, and so on, so that we're not going too many increases to get the disc nice and flat. So 1, 2, and then 2 into the next one, 1, 2, 2 in the next one, and then the final 2, and then we're going to join again with a slip stitch into that first stitch. So you just carry on working the circle, but increasing the amount of stitches between where you're going to work to, until your disc is the size that you want your robins to be. sorry about that. Once you've made your first disc, you're going to make another disc exactly the same way, so that we've got two, which gives us a back and a front. Just going to show a measurement of the size that I've done mine, but it's entirely up to you how big or small you want to make your robins. But I find this size is a quite nice size if you wanted to hang them on a Christmas tree, or if you just want to hang them up. It's a quite nice size. So mine are about 2.5 inches across, which is about 7 centimetres in total. Once you've got the two brown discs, you need to make a third disc in the red yarn, and again that is about 1 inch and a quarter, which is about 3.5 centimetres in width. So that's given us our back and the front and the red breast itself. So now on the front, whichever one you're going to use as the front, we're going to attach the red breast, and I do mine just slightly below the centre, and for that you need a wool needle. Oh, also leave quite a long length of yarn on these circles, so that we've got something to be able to stitch the two together. So all we're going to do now is just stitch the red breast on to the disc that we're going to use as the front one. Oops, which is unthreaded. We're just going to go all the way around, just catching that down with a wool needle or a bodkin. And we do all of the stitching of the robin before we sew the two discs together. So just all the way around. And then just fasten off at the back just by catching the yarn under the stitches there, and just leave that end there. So now we've got the breast, the red breast of the robin. We're now going to use the yellow yarn. Oops. And for this I usually double up, so we're going to use the two strands. So at the top we're going to come through just slightly off centre and go into the middle there, catch the yarn at the back, and then to the other side of the centre, and again into that middle to form the beak, and then just come up 2 more times into that same centre, so that we've got a triangular beak. If you want it more pronounced, you could do that more times, but I think the 4 stitches there is enough, because because we've used the yarn double, we've got 8 strands there, and then just take the yarn across to the bottom and make the 2 feet, so it's just an inverted V. Come back up at that point and back into that stitch, and again the same at the other side. And it doesn't matter if these are not exactly symmetrical, because that's what makes the robins a little bit quirky. So we've now got the beak and we've got the 2 feet attached. So again, I'm just going to fasten off the yarn at the back just by running it under the stitches, and you can fasten off or leave the yarn that acts as stuffing on the robin. So now if you are going to use the googly eyes, the stick-on ones, you could put these on now or at the very end. If you're going to use a stitch for the eyes, you would need to do it before we attach the 2 together. So again, I'll just show you how to do the bullion knot. So this time again, I'm going to use 2 strands together. You just come up from the back and before you've pulled the yarn all the way through, just go through to the back and loop the yarn so that it's secure on there. We're now going to come up just to the side of where you've got the stitch. Just move that bit out of the way, and then we're going to work in with the needle and back out so that you've got your needle actually sat into your work. We're now going to work a figure of 8. As you can see there, we've got a figure of 8 on the yarn. Just hold that yarn there, pull through slowly, and then back into the same place. And we've got a little bullion knot there. We're going to do the same at the other side, so we're going to come up and down, back up, and we're going to put the needle in and back out. We're going to wrap the wool around in a figure of 8. Hold on to the yarn, pull through, and then back down. And then you can just add a little small stitch in black over the 2. I'll just fasten that off at the back and add the black to this one. Just snip off the yarn. And then with a black yarn, we're just going to do a little pupil for the eye. So with this I would only use the 1 strand. Again, we need to just attach it and secure it to the back just with a couple of stitches, just so that it's not going to pull out from the front. And then on each of the white you can just do the 1 little black stitch, and the same at the other side there. So that we've got the 2 little eyes. But for me personally, I do prefer to use the wobbly eyes. I just think they add a little bit more character to the robin. So once we've got the front, we've got the back, we're now going to join these two together. I'll just fasten that off with the black yarn, just so that the eye doesn't come undone. And it really doesn't matter what the back of the owl looks, the robin looks like. I was just going to say, you can actually use this same pattern to make a little owl just by changing the colours of the bit that you're going to use there. You could do it in two browns, like a paler brown, and you could use a bigger wobbly eye. So we just put the two pieces together with the two strands that we've left here at the top, and we're just going to crochet these two together. So we take the yarn and we're going to just catch each of the two stitches on the outer sides, you can see there, and then just the longer strand there, just going to join those together. So we're just literally going to slip stitch all the way around by picking a loop from the front, a loop from the back, pick up that loop and slip stitch, and just carry on all the way around exactly the same until you're nearly to about the halfway point. So each person's will be a little bit different because we may have all done a different amount of stitches on our two circles, but we want to be around about here, just above where the centre line is. Again, just slip stitch the front to the back. And just keep checking to make sure that you've not gone too far. So when we're about to here, we're just slightly above this centre line, we're going to work the wing, you can see there. So we're just going to two chain, and then instead of a slip stitch to join, we're going to work a double. I'm going to work another double into that same stitch, and then just go back to the slip stitch on the next stitch and slip stitch those two. Oops, just do that bit again. This wool is a little bit splitty, and then just slip stitch the next two together, and that's formed a little wing. If you want to make the wings bigger, you can do more of the doubles, but I think just the one is enough there. And then we just carry on until we get round to just before the centre line, again on the opposite side, so that we can work a wing over on this side as well. So you just carry on all the way around to here, and then you do exactly the same again. You'll do two doubles and then slip stitch again, and that will give you the little wing. So once you've got back around up to the top here, we're going to just slip stitch together, but leave a little gap before you finish that last bit and actually stuff the two sides. And I just use ordinary toy stuffing for that. And then the loop that I had left from the other end, I would just chain and then double over and attach it into the top, and that will give you a completed robin in amigurumi. I do hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you'll enjoy making the little robin. I'll just show you those close up. I've actually got a little bit of glue gun on that one. There we go. So if you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my channel, and I do hope to see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.